So I listened to this fun podcast the other day, and it was about how to find joy in your life. And I can't even remember the lady's name. It was a TED Talk, and she was talking about what brings joy to people. And she kind of did some research, and she said things like bubbles and confetti and fireworks and sprinkles on ice cream. All these things that have lots of color and a lot of things that are kind of rounded in shape, like hot air balloons was another example, balloons in general. Um, and so I just thought it was interesting that these things bring little bits of joy, when you get them, it's just like you feel that inside, just like, oh, and you're in the moment right? when you're feeling that. So let's just try and reflect on what brings you joy. So close your eyes. Just turn to the breath. Those big white puffy clouds that don't have storms in them, in a really intense blue sky. Anything that's really colorful sparks joy. And then just try this. Turn the corners of your mouth up a little bit. Even though no one sees your smile, you can feel it. Please bring hands to heart center. May we all notice and appreciate anything that sparks joy, even for a moment. We're living in the present. You'll find those things. You'll notice the grace, the beauty, and the love. Keeping your eyes closed, please lower your hand. Just bring them to a place that feels comfortable. You don't have to support them. But I do want you to feel your sits bones touching the ground and get a little bit taller, even through the top of your head. And then keeping that nice long back of neck, just tuck your chin. Just let gravity take your head forward. Now, nothing else is going to move. The rest of your body is going to stay stable. You're just going to roll your head towards your right and allow your right ear to be closer to your right shoulder. And then roll your head back to that middle tucked position and over to the left. Your left ear is close to the left shoulder. And then just do that again. Roll through center and to the right. And roll back through center and to the left. Just feel all those muscles that support your head lengthen out a little bit. And then coming back through center, lift your head up. Feel that length through your spine, through your head. Open your eyes. Now just turn your head to look over your right shoulder. And then turn your head to look over your left shoulder. Try not to move anything else. And just do that one more time. Back to the left. And then turning your head forward, bring your arms out to the side. And just your right arm, start at the shoulder and rotate it in. So shoulder, bicep, elbow, forearm, hand, and wrist. And then go the opposite direction with your left arm. So shoulder rolls out, bicep moves up, elbow crease moves up and over, forearm, wrist, and hand. Now just notice, did you lose the length in your spine? Feels a little uneven. Now switch. Just go super slow so you can really feel the movement of the bones in your sockets. Good. And then switch once again. And last time, just really getting a good stretch in that spiral movement. Hopefully it feels okay on your shoulders. If you're being super mindful, it should. Now turn both palms up and keep the nice long spine. Stretch your arms up. Good. And then bringing hands down through heart center, keeping that nice long spine. Just bring your hands on your inner knee and press down. And as you press down, resist with your knees pressing up. You'll feel this in your core more than anywhere. I do. And breathe. Good. Relax for a moment. Slide the hands to the outside of the knees and do the same thing. So press down and resist. Try to keep that nice long spine. Just notice where you feel it, probably in your hips and your core. Good. Relax. Lean back. Shift the shin that's in front. And get the nice long spine going. We'll do that again on the other side. It feels kind of awkward because it's different. Press down and resist. A little bit of an arm workout too. And then switch to the other side and resist. Try and lengthen the spine both directions, whether it's on the inside or the out. Good, and then relax. Ooh, come on to all fours. And now you're gonna focus on the spine a little more. So start with the tailbone and just round down one vertebra at a time, all the way through the head. I want you to go super slow and mindful. And then switch to cat. Super slow. And just keep going like that. Your cow and cat, being very attentive and mindful, being in the present. I think you get more out of the stretching. Sparks joy in me. I don't know why. Yoga always makes me feel better. And one more round. And then pause with a flat back and extend just your right leg straight back. And just notice your core has to really support you, your arms, even the back of your neck. If you keep it long, it supports you. Now, starting from your right hip socket, just slowly turn that leg out. So you're rotating it in the socket. Maybe your hip lifts a little bit. Notice how your left hip has to support you when you do this. And then go the opposite direction. Just kind of rotate it in. Hip, thigh, knee, shin, ankle, foot. Maybe your hip drops a little bit. And then come to that place where it's just straight back and supported. Point and flex your toe a few times. Your toes, I should say. And then maybe add the left arm. Feel like your spine is lifting out of your pelvis and lengthening, but all your limbs are in the socket. Good. Release the hand, release the knee, and switch. Left arm or left leg. Pause. Think, do I have support through the spine, through the outer hips? And then slowly turn the leg out. And then rotate it in. It's very subtle. Just notice maybe the hip drops a little bit. And then find that really connected middle space. Draw your low belly up, point and flex a few times. Add the right arm. If you can lift and spread the toes on that left foot. One more breath. Lower the hand, lower the knee. Go ahead and sit back to a child's pose. Let your hands and wrists relax for a moment. Stretch your arms long. And then come up on fingertips. Try and walk the fingers forward a little bit more. And then maybe walk the hands to the right side. Keep those lifted palms and armpits, and just shift your hips to the left just slightly. And then switch. Walk them all the way over to the left side. Nice right body stretch. And then coming back to the center, set your palms down and move forward into all fours, but your hands will be slightly in front of your shoulders, and extend your left arm and thread it underneath for thread the needle. I like to come up on fingertips with my right hand. I can get a little more stretch, but you have to determine what's good for your shoulders. If I draw my sternum back, I feel even more of a stretch. And then come on up. And we'll switch. So extend the right arm. And slowly just noticing the curve from the low back all the way up. Nice long side body. Getting that stretch. And come on back to center. Hands down and spread evenly. Curl the toes, lift your knees, and think sits bones move back and apart and up. And then once you have that, then think, I'm going to use my outer thighs to stabilize the legs and re-straighten the legs to regular down dog. Little stretch through the feet. Broaden the clavicles. Shoulders on the back so your armpits feel hollow. You now keep all that integration on your legs and come forward to plank. Feel like your spine is moving up and lengthening out of your pelvis. Don't let your hips drop. Good. And then bending the knees, bending the sits bones back up and apart. Re-straightening by engaging the outer thighs. Come back to downward facing dog. And then one hand at a time, walk them back towards your feet. And just bend your knees when you get there. So you can think sits bones back, apart and up. And then engage the outer thighs to re-straighten. And then pranam, think of that spine lengthening out of the pelvis with that integration in the legs. And fold again. Now bend the knees and bring your hands to your knees. And I want you to think sits bones back, apart and up, and then stabilize the outer thighs to then lift your torso up and bring hands to heart center. Good. Now keep that feeling of lifting out of your pelvis, lengthening, and maybe extend the arms by your ears. It's a lot of work stabilizing the legs, and then press into your feet and come on up to standing. Feeling like you're stacking everything. Still have that middle ground of support. And bring hands to heart center. Good. Turn this way. Stretch your arms up again. This time grab your left wrist with your right hand. Lengthen up and arch to your right. Good. Come back through center. Switch. And arc to your left. Good, and come on up. Stretch both arms up, and then we're going to go back to chair pose. So bring hands to heart center. Bend the knees, think sits bones back and apart. Stabilize the outer hips so you can sit deep. And this time, bring your elbows a little wider. Now, nothing is going to change in your legs. So you have that support, both inner and outer thigh. And you're just going to twist to your right. You don't have to bring the elbow down to the knee. Just feel the twist, feel the legs not change at all. And come back through center and go to the other side. That's it. Don't let your knees move, your hips move. Really integrated. Come back through center. Bring hands to the knees. Keep the support, inner and outer thigh, and slowly fold forward, Uttanasana. Sits bones back and apart. Support from the outer thigh. Pranam on your inhale. Feel that lifting out, and exhale, fold. And then slowly walking your hands back out to downward facing dog. You can keep the knees a little bent, get the sits bones back, wide and up, and then stabilize by using the outer hips to straighten the legs. Move forward into that integrated plank again. Just be mindful with your shoulders. I want you to focus on the legs, but keep mindful with your shoulders. Plank. And then lower to the ground. If you can't hold it there as you lower, just lower the knees first. And come all the way down. Stretch your feet long. And then just 3 cobras. So lift on the inhale. Lengthen. Feel that lifting out and lengthening out of the pelvis. And lower. Just play with it. And lower. Good. And then push back to all fours and grab your blocks here under your hands. And you can either do them medium or low. It's your choice. I think I'm going to do mine medium. And then lift your knees. Think sits bones back, wide and apart. And then stabilize using the outer leg. You just feel like that spine is lengthening out of it. And now notice the strength you need with the outer left thigh as you extend the right leg. Now, without changing the position of your hips or your shoulders, just inner and outer spiral that leg a few times. So just from the hip socket, it doesn't move as far, but it's starting to feel a little more open. Notice the strength in the outer left thigh to do it. Good, and then find that spot in the middle and step the foot through to a deep lunge. Now, a lot of times on the step through, you'll lose that feeling of support. So think sits bones back, apart and wide. Outer thigh stabilizes, spine lengthens out of that. Good. Your hips are square and even, and then lower the back knee. And slowly come up. Notice the outer right thigh supporting you as you come up. And stretch your arms up, Anjaneyasana. Just feel that lengthening up and out of the pelvis. Low belly really drawing up. When you're really attentive to your body, for me, it really sparks joy, but it's more work, right? 2 more breaths. And on your next exhale, touch down. Good. Slide your hips back. And as you do, just keep saying, I don't want to lose that control on my inner and outer thighs as I move the hips straight back, straighten the right leg to runner's lunge. Notice, did your hip shift one way or the other? Can you stabilize? Keep the sits bones back. Couple breaths. Hip creases stay even. Feel that lengthening out of your pelvis. And bend back into the front knee. Lift the back knee and step back. Downward facing dog. Bend the knees. Sits bones lift back, up and apart. Stabilize the outer thighs. Straighten the legs. Extend the left leg. Without moving the hips up or down, inner and outer spiral. You just kind of rotating it in the socket. It's very subtle, but it feels good. And then find the middle ground and step it through. Deep lunge. Regroup, see if you're still got the sits bones back, apart and wide. Stabilize the outer thigh. Lower the back knee. Just feeling that support from your legs and your hips. Come upright. Stretch your arms up. Anjaneyasana. Notice if you want to bend a little deeper, how your hips move in unison when you're connected like that. The hip creases still stay parallel. Hips stay centered. You're able to lengthen your spine out of your pelvis. Reach up a little higher. 2 more breaths. And on the exhale, touch down. Good. Slide the hips back evenly and connected. Straighten the left leg. Notice if you had a shift, straighten it out, support. Hip creases stay parallel. Low belly draws up. Lengthen your spine out of the pelvis. Bend back into the front knee. Good. Lift the back knee. And this time step forward to a forward fold. If you want to go through that exercise of seeing if your legs are really working like they should, you think bend the knees, sits bones back wide and up. And then use the outer thighs to re-straighten. Feel your pelvis or your spine moving out of your pelvis. Inhale, pranam with that feeling. Support through the legs. Exhale, fold. And inhale, just kind of round your back and move up to standing, one vertebra at a time. And stretch your arms up. And then turn the palms out. And with a nice long side body, reach behind you with your hands. See if you can interlace them or just reach back. Keep broadening the clavicles. Notice your legs. Are they still engaged? If not, re-engage. And then lengthening your spine out of your pelvis, fold forward, bring the arms with you. Notice if you lost anything, broadening the clavicles, shoulder blades on the back, but really supported front and back, supported through the legs. Good, and then reach, let go with your hands, touch the blocks, and step your left foot back, and then step it forward a little bit and turn the toes out so the heel grounds down. The right knee will still be bent. The left heel, even though the toes are turned out, is in line with your sits bone. The right heel is in line with your right sits bone. Bring the blocks to the inside and kind of walk them maybe, just to the outside of the left top of your mat. And then think, okay, if I bend my both knees a little bit, think sits bones back, apart, and up. And then use the outer hips to stabilize. It's going to feel like your right hip draws underneath. Your left hip just stabilizes the outer foot. And then stretch your arms out to down dog lunge. And I really want you to feel the legs supporting you. So if you can come up on fingertips, feel the lengthening of the spine out of the pelvis. Maybe you don't even have to use your hands. You're feeling so strong in your legs and your feet and your hips holding you there. Right hip drawing underneath. Good. And then walking the blocks back in. On either side of your front foot, turn the back heel up. And step back, downward dog. Find the strength in your legs. Both sides, extend the left leg and step it through. Deep lunge. Step the right foot forward enough that you can ground that back heel down. So my toes turn out about 30 degrees. Bring both blocks to the right now. Sits bones back, apart, and up. And then use the outer hips to stabilize. It feels like my left hip moves underneath, so it's in line with the toes. My right leg feels just really supportive. My right kneecap, my toes point the same direction, same with the left. And then if you want to, walk the blocks out to that down dog lunge feeling. See if you're really supporting by trying to lift your hands. See if, whoa, can I stay there and feel stable? One more breath. And walk the blocks back in either side of the foot. Turn the back heel up and step back. Down dog, and then go ahead and lower your knees and take a child's pose. This time just stay off your hands and breathe. And then making your way back up to All fours with your hands on the blocks. Lift your knees downward facing. I always have to bend my knees, make sits bones back up and apart. Engage the outer thighs to lengthen the legs straight. And I feel support on both sides of the leg, and I can extend the right leg confidently and step it through deep lunge. Good, now ground that back foot down. Bring the left hand to the hip. And then think sits bones. Actually bring your right elbow to your knee too. And you're kind of leaning forward so you can get the sits bones back and apart and up, and then stabilize the outer thighs. Draw the right hip underneath and then open up to parsvakonasana. You feel that? Extend the arm. Legs support you. Maybe stretch the arm by your ear, palm facing down. Utthita parsvakonasana. Good. And touch down. Turn the back heel up. Step back, downward facing dog. When you find that stable down dog, extend the left leg and step it through. Ground the back foot down. Right hand to the hip, left elbow to the knee. Now, if I look at my left thigh and my knee, they're kind of not in the same plane. So I'm going to I have to bend my right knee, I think. Sits bones back, apart, and up. And then I stabilize the outer thigh, draw that underneath, and then I can lengthen my spine and stretch into the full pose. Utthita Asta Parsvakonasana. Even the back legs, feel that outer thigh support you. Feels like the left thigh is drawing underneath. I know I'm making you hold it, but I think you really identify with the strength and you have to hold things. Good, and then touch down. Turn the back heel up and step forward this time. Forward fold. Slowly roll up to standing. I'm sweating. A lot of work when you practice this way. Good. Now I'm going to have you guys turn towards each other and take a wide stance. You guys at home can turn whichever way you want. So take a wide stance and then bring your hands to your knees and think I'm going to move my sits bones back, apart, and up a little bit. You feel that? Feels like a big curve in your low back, which is okay. Now think I'm going to stabilize by engaging my outer thighs and straighten my legs and come up. Feels totally different, right? I want you to feel this drawing up and lengthening out of the pelvis. Bring your arms out. Good, and then whichever foot is in towards the front of the room, turn that out and bend into the front knee. Still supporting the outer thigh, draw that front leg, the front hip under, engage the outer hip of the back leg, warrior two. Still want you to get that feeling of lengthening out of the pelvis, supported so much by the legs. Good, now straighten that front leg. And as you do, notice how your back leg hip kind of moves back. And this leg has to move under as you slowly fold into triangle pose. Broaden the clavicles. Two more breaths. Don't even have to use your hands probably because you're so stable in the legs. Good, bend into your front knee and come up back to warrior two. Straighten the legs, stretch the arms up, turn that foot forward, bring the arms out as you turn the opposite leg out. Check your alignment as you bend into the front knee. I always have to think, okay, I lean forward a little bit, sits bones back and apart, and then draw the right hip under. Stabilize the outer hip of the back leg. Feels like warrior two is much more supported. And you can hold it forever, right? You feel like a real warrior. Even though it's more work, it's worth it because you really feel supported. Good. One more breath. And then straighten the front legs, stretch your arms up. Bring the arms back down. I think I'm just going to slowly keep everything aligned as I move into triangle pose. Supporting outer hips and inner thighs. Bones stay back. Then get that feeling of lengthening out of your pelvis. Good, and then bending the front knee. Come back up, warrior two. Stretch the arms up, straighten the leg, turn both feet forward. Bend the knees. Grab your knees, sits bones back, apart, and up. Stabilize by when you straighten the legs, and then just fold forward into that wide-legged forward fold. You still feel supported both inside and out of your legs, especially that hip area. Front arm like that with that support. And fold. And then inhale, lifting out of the pelvis. You might have to bend the knees and come up. And then step your feet together. Whew. Come on up to the front of your mats again. Swing your blocks. Take a breath. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, bend your knees, sit back. I want you to just kind of think hands to heart center. Chair pose, that really uber supported, so that you can feel yourself lengthening out of your pelvis. Good, hands to the knees. Slowly straighten the legs, come to forward fold. And then just bring your blocks forward out of the way. Turn your toes out a little bit. And come on down to a deep squat. You'll be surprised at how open your hips feel. Because even though we just did standing poses, those are super big hip openers when you practice like that. Think of lifting your spine out of the pelvis here and then rounding down. Oh. And then come to a seated position. Good job. Stretch your legs long. Get the sits bones back and apart. Because I always have to kind of pull my leg into the socket and I pull up on my butt leg. And then I can sit up really tall and think, can I use that strength of my outer thighs to lengthen out of that? I just want you to keep getting that feeling. Now bend your right knee and think of this is hinged, so you want to keep that safe. You're just going to turn that whole leg in the socket and bring the ankle across the thigh. Still supported, still lengthening the spine out of the pelvis. Now, if that feels good and you want more stretch, you can lift that leg up. You can even hook your elbows underneath if that feels good. Trying to keep grounded and lengthened. Maybe rock your baby a little bit. And then release and stretch that leg long. If you need to adjust on your sits bones, get that spine long, and we'll switch legs. Go across thigh. See how it feels. Just thinking of this whole leg rotates out in the socket. And then if you want more, you can lift, maybe hook. Maybe rock the baby a little bit. Oh. And release. Good. Scooch forward enough that you can lay back without your head being off the mat. Bring your knees right under your hips. And then kind of lift your pelvis up so you can feel the sacrum grounded and you feel a little curve in the low back. Now think to yourself, I'm going to stabilize the outer thighs, lift my low belly up to lengthen my spine out of the pelvis. And then keeping that, lift up to Setu Bandha. This feels a little different. Maybe you need to scooch the shoulders underneath. Lengthening the spine out. Really stable hips and legs. Good, lower down. Interlace your hands behind your right thigh. Thanks. Sacrum down, sits bones back and apart. And then think, I'm going to really stabilize the outer thighs as I straighten both legs. So the left leg comes to the ground, the right leg straightens. Just feel the length out of your pelvis through the top of your head. And then flex and point your foot a few times. All that work in your legs. And bend the knee. release the right foot underneath the knee and pick up your left foot, interlace underneath behind the left thigh. Sits bones back apart. And then engage the outer thighs as you straighten both legs. Feel that length in your spine. Feel your hips even, hip creases even. Point and flex. And release. Now bend both knees. Bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees open. Supta Baddha Konasana. And you don't have to do this next move if you don't want to, but I think it feels kind of good after all that lifting out of the low back, or the lifting out of the pelvis. So bend your knees, bring your hands by your hips, hug your knees in, and then just kick the feet over your head for halasana. You can support your hips with your hands if it feels better, or just keep the arms outstretched. And then just one vertebra at a time, starting with the upper back, just roll all the way back down and stretch out into Shavasana. And ask yourself, okay, where does it feel best for my sacrum to be, to support me so that my legs can just relax? And same way with the shoulders, kind of play with it a little bit. For me, if I get the shoulders underneath and my arms outer spiral, that feels best. And I don't have to support at all. I just let gravity round me to the floor. To the earth. And just scan from head to toe, see what needs to be relaxed. And a little breath. Maybe even love to that body part, just thanking it for what it did for you. Relaxing deeper and deeper with each exhalation. Beginning to notice your breath is still moving in and out. Just take a few moments to just savor that feeling, the inhalation, the fresh air, and the exhalation. When you feel ready, you can start to move in small ways. Eventually drawing your knees in, rolling to the side. And take your time coming on up to seated. Take a few moments to savor what this beautiful practice does for you inside and out. And vow that over the next week as I'm gone, you're going to really look for all of those little things that spark joy for you. Just bring hands to heart center. I get a lot of joy out of teaching yoga, so thank you for indulging me and allowing me to do that. I bow to that beautiful, joyful light that shines from each of you. Namaste. Thanks, guys. Well done. Have a great week. I'll